So I was at a mastermind in Florida, and the guy, he was in there talking about how he was doing novations and how half of his business was novations. This is years ago, before it was kind of a bigger thing. Now most people know what novations are, and it's kind of a popularized strategy, which is a great strategy. If I were doing real estate right now, that's exactly what I'd be doing. But he was talking about how half his business was novations, and at that time I had just went nationwide because it was a cool thing to do. Sean Terry did it. Nick Perry was doing it, and I was like, and I did it, right? I was like, well, man, I was doing like 8 or 9 deals here locally, and it was harder for me to scale out of that. And I was like, well, let's try this nationwide thing. Well, man, that sucked.
Dude, it's a whole different beast, man.
I ran in the red for 3 months.
Yeah, whole different beast.
It almost bankrupted me.
Fam, what's up? Welcome back to CEO Post Podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are doing installment number 2 with Cory Geary. Bro, I think I had you on the show, 3 years ago? I think it had to be around 3 years ago when we recorded that episode.
It had to be over 3 years ago because I was not sober yet when I was on that show. And I've been sober for 3.5 years now because I was thinking about it the other day.
Yeah.
Trying to put the time and pieces in place. And so it might have been 3.5, 4 years ago.
Man, that's incredible. And I mean, you kicked it off in real estate. You got into real estate in 2015, and what you've done since, I mean, you've been very versatile. Like, you've done wholesale, you went to innovations, and I want to pull threads on all those type of conversations. First off, I want to welcome you to the podcast again.
Appreciate
it's always fun, man. Like, you're easy to talk to. It's you have good energy when when we're talking and everything. So I love having you in. And one of the things that I like is every time I've had a conversation with you, you have no problem sharing it all. So I feel like there's no pulling back the punches when it comes to value, right? So welcome to the podcast, man. Blessed having you again.
Yeah, blessed to be here, man. Truly blessed. I'm glad to be able to come in here and talk about some of the big L's and some of the big W's. So it's there's a mix between the two of them for sure.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I mean, you wouldn't be an entrepreneur if you weren't. If it wasn't.
You got to learn to punch the face.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast. Cory Geary with us. Again, you got into real estate in 2015. It's as of the date of this podcast, we just got into February 2024. So it's been, 9 years. And what's happened over the span of that, I mean, it's again, like, you started wholesaling, you went into the coaching space. Now you're doing a lot of stuff in the crypto space, right? So you're definitely evolving as an entrepreneur. You're evolving the vision, and like, tell us about that, man. Like, how has it been? What are some of your biggest wins, the biggest lessons that you've kind of accumulated along the way?
This is really good, and I know we probably touched on it on our last one, but I want to go over it again. I got into real estate in the very beginning back in 2015 because, like any of us, I was just chasing the shiny carrot of wanting more money, right?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Flip and Flop show, and those guys were making $80,000 in 20 minutes. I'm like, man, I can do that. Can I do that? Like, well, these guys are killing it. And my girlfriend at the time, she was a part-time blackjack dealer. I was a blackjack dealer for 16 years. And so that's what I was doing at the time. It was good money.
So you're doing that before
I got into real estate. Yeah, and that was good money. We're making 6 figures a year here in Phoenix. The casinos out here, you take your own tips home. So if you're thinking about dealing cards, this is the place to do it. You can make 6 figures easy. In fact, the Casino of Arizona guys over there at Talking Stick, they make over some of them make over $250,000 a year dealing blackjack.
I didn't know that.
It's wild. Yeah, it's like being a bartender in the high-end nightclub. That's what I compare it to.
Dude, okay, like, I'm going to take a little segue here, but I've seen those guys, like, the processing of the cards, and like, it's just so quick.
It comes from repetition.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You've seen it a million times, and so you don't even have to think about it no more.
Yeah.
And so it's like you immediately you're not even counting no more.
Yeah.
Or adding or subtracting or whatever you're doing. It's just automatic for your brain because you've seen it a million times. When you first start dealing, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Go to Vegas and go work at one of the break-in joints, that's what they're called, where the dealers are just starting out, and you'll notice a big difference.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You'll notice a big difference. But I was doing that, and I had a girlfriend at the time. She was part-time blackjack dealer, part-time realtor.
Yeah.
And so we'd watch that show, Flip or Flop, and she's like, and she knew I had some money saved up from the dealing for the last few years. And she's like, why don't you flip a house so I can list it, with her own kind of like greedy motivations, which was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I was like, I don't know, why don't I flip a house so you can list it? It seems easy enough. 20 minutes and this guy's making 80 grand. Next morning, I'm literally running around my neighborhood.
You saw it on HGTV.
HGTV, man, it sold me. It sold me the dream. And I was running around the neighborhood the next day, and I saw one of those bandit signs.
Yeah.
You know, it said fix and flip, buy price, and it had a number. I can't remember, it was like 250, 260, whatever it was. And it had ARV, and then it had a number. It was like 360. And I stopped on my run. I called that phone number, and I bought that house.
Yeah.
Took me 6 months, fix and flipped it, and I made $8,000.
$8,000?
$8,000,
Dude,
man.
that's very similar to my first fix and flip story, man. I ended up making $2,000.
Oh, man.
And it took me 6 months to complete that damn thing.
Why is it that for our first time around, it takes 6 months? I have no idea. Maybe because we just don't know what the hell we're doing, right? And we don't know how to manage contractors.
That's it.
That's what it is, right? We're just getting involved, getting started. Well, the second deal, I started going to RIAs.
Yeah.
And met a guy named Chris Hyman. Props to him if he's ever watching this. I always give props to Chris Hyman.
What's up, Chris?
Yeah, so he was my main wholesaler, if you will, who I started buying deals from. So I bought my second deal I bought from him. I made $20,000, 3 months, great. Third deal, I thought I was a big boy, knew what I was doing. Ego was starting to get up a little bit, right? Oh, gosh. I bought 4 houses all at once, and I bought them off Chris. And I ended up getting a new contractor at the time. I still have my blackjack dealing job, so I'm still dealing at nights, sleeping there in the daytime. Well, that contractor took me to the cleaners, man. I lost $250,000 on all those 4 houses, wiped me out. I lost my life savings. I lost my 401k money from the casino. I just had the job still, so I had a good job, thank goodness. But it wiped me out, man. And that experience there was how I got into wholesaling, because I was like, well, what am I going to do now to go forward into this journey? And I literally went on Google and I typed in, how do wholesalers get deals? And I know I've told the story a million times.
Good old Google.
Yeah, and freaking Sean Terry popped up.
Yeah.
Freaking Sean Terry. So he was doing Google ad PPC.
When was this, around 2014?
And no, so I remember I started in 15.
15.
And so this was probably around 16-ish, maybe 17, but I think it was 16. Yeah. And so his Flip to Freedom stuff popped up.
Yep.
I mean, I know you know Sean. That's how I met you.
Yeah.
And so I bought his course. His first course was like $500, or maybe might have been $997 at max, right? And so like it teaches bandit signs, it taught direct mail, it taught ringless voicemail, these things that that now everyone does. And so I did it, man. I put it to work. And it took me a few months. I think it was around 9 or 10 months, to be honest with you, before I got my first deal. And then I sold that deal to Chris Hyman. I made $10,000, and I was like, okay, this works. Let's rinse and repeat this. And so, that's how I got into real estate. From there, I built a team. I built a call center out of my house. Put a bunch of cubicles in my house. I hired college kids.
I remember seeing that, man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that. Like you had this full blown operation.
In my house,
in your house.
I was single.
Remember, I think I saw a video or something. I didn't go to your spot, but I think I saw a video on it. I was like, man, that's crazy.
I would never get away with that now, because now I'm married with 2 daughters. There's no way I could do it now. But then it was like, I was Mr. Party Guy. Yeah. And I was single, and so instead of having the party house, at night, at daytime, we had the call center.
Yeah, moonlight as a call center.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did that, and man, I built up a pretty big operation, because then we eventually went nationwide. I dove into PPC. I got an office, and then the Novations thing came about. I love telling this story. So I was at a mastermind in Florida, and the guy, he was in there talking about how he was doing novations and how half of his business was novations. This is years ago, before it was kind of a bigger thing. Now most people know what novations are, and it's kind of a popularized strategy, which is a great strategy. If I were doing real estate right now, that's exactly what I'd be doing. But he was talking about how half his business was novations, and at that time I had just went nationwide, because it was a cool thing to do. Sean Terry did it. Nick Perry was doing it, and I was like, and I did it, right? I was like, well, man, I was doing like 8 or 9 deals here locally, and it was harder for me to scale out of that. And I was like, well, let's try this nationwide thing. Well, man, that sucked.
Dude, it's a whole different beast, man.
I ran in the red for 3 months.
Yeah, whole different beast.
It almost bankrupted me. It's just, it's a whole different business model, completely different business model. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself wrecked doing it. So we did it. I was running in the red, but I was at the mastermind. The guy's talking about, I'm doing novations, half of my business. I list my properties on the MLS for conventional finance buyers. I'm like, how the heck are you doing that?
Yeah.
Because if I could crack the code of that, it was the solution to my pain at the time. Yeah. And so he shared with us how he was doing it, and he was doing it on a local model though, and he did a lot of like novation flips. And I was like, man, I need to like do like novation hotel. I'm like, and I want to do this on a nationwide virtual model. So I brought the concept home, and he shared his agreements with me, and some scripts. But I shared his agreements with my attorney. I had 2 attorneys. I had one here. Most people know him, Sean St. Clair.
Yeah.
And there's another attorney out of Texas who I shared the agreements with. Between the 2 of them, we were able to construct the contracts I ended up using nationwide for novations. It was amazing, and that's what we did. So I mean, we struggled with it at first, like anything else. Yeah. We had lost deals, and I mean, we didn't know how to handle the realtors. There was some struggles, but once we kind of dialed that in, that was it. And that did fix the pain. We were able to go, nationwide, full-blown novation, and we were doing, at my peak, we were doing anywhere from 30 to 60 deals a month.
That's insane, man. Were you guys innovations? Give us the cliff notes on that. Like, not break it down, but give us like the 50,000 foot view on what innovation is for those who haven't been exposed to it.
Simply put, it's just wholesaling without taking possession. That's the way we would do novations. You also can do like a fix and flip partnership with a seller, but basically wholesaling and retail are coming together with novations, and so you lock the deal up from the seller with a contract like you would when you're wholesaling, but then you're going to get some additional paperwork signed. You're going to get a notice of interest, not the notice of interest, the novation and indemnification agreement. It's been a minute, and then the rights to list the property from the seller, and then you're going to go out and list the property to a financed buyer. What allows you to do that is that you're not going to sign the deal to the new buyer. You're going to just replace the agreement. Novate means a replacement of agreement, and you're just going to put a lien on the property and then collect that fee at closing. That's all it is, and that's how the financing is able to be approved. Because the problem with wholesaling, if you're in the middle, they won't. The conventional financing won't approve it. So there's some additional paperwork that's being involved. You got to understand how to handle the realtors. You got to understand how to handle the inspection period. There's a retail process in this that you have to wrap your head around that most wholesalers don't know yet, unless they were licensed out there doing, some traditional real estate.
Yeah.
But I did a little traditional real estate before I got into wholesale. Well, it was about right at the same time I was doing a wholesaling, so I understood it. And man, we scaled that model, and it was beautiful. And then once we really got it cranking and automated, basically I started teaching it. I created a course called Novation Nation. We had a mastermind. At the height of the mastermind, I might have had like around 50 students in there, where we were coaching them how to do novations, and the virtual model too, because the virtual and the novations mixed together was kind of like my stick, right? Yeah. That was my thing that I feel like no one else was really doing at that time. Now there's a lot of people doing it, which is cool.
It kind of opened up. It kind of opened up, the last couple of years. But yeah, you're right. I mean, at that point, there wasn't a lot of people doing innovations.
Yeah.
I did a few with Sean back in the day, and that sort of thing, but never really took it upon a strategy. You know what I mean? And scaled it. It's for me, and now I feel like it's one of those things that you just got to have under your belt.
Oh, like especially in this market.
Yeah, you got to have it in the tool belt.
If you're not doing novation, seller finance, sub 2 in this market, you are leaving so much money on the table. It's not even funny. Like you have to be a multiple tool real estate investor if you're going to go out here and make it in these streets, man. Because I mean, if you're just doing wholesaling and that's it out here, oh man, with the fluctuation and the uncertainty in the markets and the competition,
one trick pony doesn't cut it anymore.
No, man. 10 years ago, probably, right? Like it'd have been great.
Fine, yeah.
Sean Terry killed it back in the day when he was first starting out.
Dude, I was when I was doing running acquisitions for him. I was going to around 25 face-to-face appointments.
I remember that. That's how I met you. You spoke on stage one time for him.
I actually a couple of times on Extreme Freedom at the event. So it was a great time, but there was a lot of I figured out early on, listen, by pitching the wholesale offer, there's only so many deals that we're gonna get. So we started crafting and pitching seller financing. I've been doing seller financing since 2000. My first deal with seller financing was 2013.
Wow, ahead of the game.
And I mean, it was just it was a normal thing, but I understood, right? Like, okay, cool. You can have a couple of different ways to solve the problem. At the end of the day, we're solving problems. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, right? If you're in real estate, a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are in the real estate space. It's just where we swim. But it doesn't matter, right? Whatever type of business you're in, you have to figure out how to solve whatever your client's problem is going to be. That's what it comes down. It's never the commodity. It's never the thing that's being, sold, right? It's the end result of what that gives them.
It's the solution you're bringing to the table.
Exactly.
Right.
So yeah, and then people got more elaborate with lease options came in shortly after that, and then novations, and I mean now there's I mean I don't know, there's always something new coming up, like.
There is.
Yeah, at least once every 6 years. There's this new breakthrough strategy.
Right. And
just get really fucking good at a couple of them, and then you're going to be fine.
And then that's it. And that's it. And you will be fine. But you be a master at them, right?
Yeah.
Don't be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Get really good at this, then move on to this, and then, put your hours in that you need to get good at that. I mean, like I said, the novation thing, that's all we did. Like it was, we did a couple
reps.
seller finance deals here and there, a couple sub twos, but like that was not our bread and butter by any stretch of measure. In fact, wholesaling became second to novations in our company. We were a novation company first, wholesale second.
Yeah.
And the way we made our offers, we made the offers to the seller where it was more appealing for them to take the concierge service offer, that's what we called it.
Yeah.
The concierge service offer over the cash offer. And so they'd always pick the concierge service offer.
Yeah.
And so, I love them because you're being fully transparent with the seller. They know what's happening on the deal now, completely transparent. You're going on market. Your buyers, they don't care what you're making on the deal.
Yeah.
Like, how many times a wholesaler, when you're wholesaling a deal, the buyer calls you, man, you're making $40,000. Like, bro, dude, you know what my overhead is? They don't understand, right?
Exactly.
They don't see that perspective, but to them, they're like, man, I'm only making 50 on this as a flip, and you're making 40 on home.
Yeah.
Bro, you don't know
I put $30K into the rehab, bro.
Right. So that's the part that we also love is that the buyer doesn't care how much you're making. A retail buyer doesn't care what you're making or what the seller's making.
Yeah.
The retail buyer doesn't care. They just want a house to live, maybe fix up while they're living there. We get a lot of those in novations there because you have the house needs to be somewhat livable usually.
Yeah, there's got to be a value out there.
There has to be a
value.
value.
It's not going to work for everyone.
Right. Yep. So that's why we love them, man. We scaled the whole business out of that. And if I were to do real estate again today, that's what we would be doing.
You'd start with novations?
Oh, 100%, dude.
Really?
So that's what I know, right?
Yeah.
It is what I know, and that's what I'd go out and start doing.
It's interesting, like looking at the trajectory, right? Like the path that you've taken, breaking into it in 2015 and everything. It's almost I like to think as wholesaling as like the gateway drug to entrepreneurship.
It is.
Because you break through it. It's low barrier to entry, first off, right? It's not easy. It teaches you character. You have to put in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears. It builds character as you're going through it. And then you get wins. It's like, shit, man, like you have proof of concept and you get it, it's almost like you get this utopian feeling, like just so excited about stuff, right? And then, you try to do a flip, and then you lose your ass on $250,000. It's like, so it brings you back, but now you have proof of concept. What happens? Like I feel like it breaks the, at least for me, what it did was break the paradigms of how I used to think about business.
Yeah.
Running a transportation business for 8 years before I sold it. I was like, it was very cookie cutter type of deal, but I had caps, right? There wasn't like the revenue that I was able to make. It was capped out because of the business model. If I wanted to make more revenue, I had to, bring in more employees, more vehicles. Just the model itself wasn't malleable. And then you break into something like real estate, and then boom, you have home runs, and then you have your steady ones that pay the bills, and then boom, another home run. And sometimes the properties do fall through and whatever, but it's the nature of the beast, right? But when you're in there, you start having conversations with other people. You start joining masterminds, and then you pivot from one thing to, for example, wholesaling to the next, right? That conversation took you to a novation thing. Novations took you to the whole coaching thing. Right. The whole coaching thing put you in masterminds. We were actually part of the same mastermind, the family mastermind. Shout out to Matt and the family over there. I love those guys. And stuff like that is gonna open you up to different things. Now you're doing crypto through Pulse Chain, right? So that to me that's a whole different universe. Like it's not even a world, man. It's there.
Right. So before we dive into that, I do want to say one more thing about real estate is that and when people ask me, what did real estate do for you? Or what do you think about, you're not doing it no more. What's going, like, I love real estate. It saved my life. It did. When I got into real estate, I was going nowhere. I mean, I had my job, but I was a drug addict. I was a cocaine addict. I was an alcoholic. I was a womanizer. I was just a complete loser of life, drifting. If you've ever read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, is great. The concept of drifting. That's what I was doing. That was me. Yeah. And so, like, it was real estate because I wanted to chase that carrot for more money that I got in rooms, like you just mentioned, the masterminds, around people, around like-minded people like yourself, like your viewers watching right now, who are always trying to level up 1%, spirituality, mental, physical, and then financial, but these pillars of life and that we all trying to achieve to get better at, taught me also how to love myself. Now I've been sober for multiple years. I got a family. I'm married with 2 daughters, and I live in Puerto Rico. This stuff would have never happened without real estate being that stepping stool. And I feel like God or the universe, whatever you want to believe in, has very creative ways of driving you to where you need to go, to your destination and to your purpose. And so real estate, I wrote a book this year, or it's actually last year. It should be coming out this year. It's called Real Estate Saved My Life. Keep a lookout for it. It should be on Amazon. I'll be giving a whole bunch away, of course, for free. If you see me at an event.
I want mine signed, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you got it, bro. You got it. So hopefully we get it out this year. It'll be awesome, and it's all about, a lot about mindset and I feel it doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to be the tool that does that for you. For the entrepreneurship journey, I think is what is more than anything. It just so happened that real estate was part of that tool for me, my journey.
It's the vehicle, right? Like,
it's the vehicle.
We can choose different types of vehicles, and you're gonna find something that you really enjoy, you play with. When you walked into the office right now, I was negotiating a deal.
I walked right into the bullpen, bro. I sat down and you were at it. I almost turned my camera on and was going to record you.
Dude, I should have recorded that clip.
It was great.
It would have been fun. But no, like, it's, to me, like, dealing with, like, I don't know, the thrill of the deal. I love that. I love that portion, right? So the negotiation part, the pushing back, the dealing with no nonsense stuff, and then just kind of, I like that stuff. Not that I like, I mean, I love to create, right? But I have the opportunity to create systems and processes and
You're good
educate and all that stuff and play in my space. But the vehicle has a lot to do with it, right? You have to, I feel like as an entrepreneur, if you pick the wrong vehicle, you're going to feel like you're not an entrepreneur. You're going to feel like, oh, this is not built for me. It may be just a pivot on the vehicle that you chose. Because when you tap into that taste of self-empowerment, because there's a lot of self-empowerment that comes with entrepreneurship.
There is.
A lot of self-respect that comes with entrepreneurship. Responsibility levels just go through the roof, because now you're the thing that keeps whatever going together, right? Whatever is going on in your business, your team, your leadership, like all that stuff merges into this one single space and creates that vehicle. So it's important to figure out what kind of vehicle, like you're saying, real estate did that for you, and it just kind of helped you shift your mindset into this whole other human being over the last 9 years, and then that you've been able to transition from one vertical to the other vertical and to the other vertical, right?
And let's talk about that, because talking about, like, when you're empowering yourself and you're figuring out which vehicle that you want to go into, and you can make that decision because you have that power now. I read a book. This is a great book for your audience. Is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Love it.
Amazing book, and he's got a few other follow-up books like The Surrender Experiment, and there's another one, I can't remember the name on top of my head, but a great guy. I even flew out to his temple, hung out there for a day. That's how inspired I was. Yeah. But that book taught me to stop clawing my way to wealth and success and to happiness, and start letting the universe and God guide me through wealth, happiness, and success. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be out of your comfort zone or you're not going to have to work. That's not what that means. But there is signs, and there is the universe and God who helps. And that's actually how I got to the space I'm in now, which is quite a wild. And now I make more money than I've ever made. I'm happier than I've ever been. And I have more free time than I've ever had in my entire life, because I followed the intuition of the universe, if you want to call it. Me, it's God. I'm religious, so it's especially now, I didn't used to be. Before I was in real estate, I wasn't religious. I basically was like, there is no God. Now it's seriously, it literally has transformed into this person.
Isn't it incredible, man, how just like the entire, not just mindset and fortitude, right? Mental fortitude, but like the entire perspective of the world changes when you're finding yourself over and over and over again in spots of like, shit, man, this is the it's my back's against the wall, and I have I have to perform. Like there's no other way. Like there's no boats left.
Right.
It's you'll find yourself. You'll find your true power. And at least for me, same thing, right? You'll find your faith.
Right.
And it's it's a very, very interesting thing, man. Big props for that, because not everybody opens up and owns it, right?
Yep. I give all my gratitude and power to God. He's the one that's brought me to here. He's the one that showed me real estate. He's the one, he knows. Yeah. He man.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so true. And it's to own it, to be there and accept it and just embrace it. Right. I heard, I read a quote, and I don't know, it was on social. I think maybe, I think Cody Sanchez posted it.
Okay.
But it was, it says, pray like it's up to God.
Okay.
Right? And work like it's up to me.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like, that makes so much fucking sense.
It does, bro.
It
does.
It's
you got to do your part too.
Yeah,
like you can't just like.
Absolutely.
That's what everyone gets wrong about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like they pray and pray and pray and they hope. Oh, why is nothing of this coming true? Well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You got to do your part. You go out there and put the work in. You go out there and have the faith to put the work in.
You're praying for rain, yet you're not out there putting yourself in the path of rain.
Right. Or even planting seeds for the rain.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like, why are you praying for the rain?
Yeah. No, it's very, it's a very true thing. And faith, we talk about mindset all the time, right? Which is a big portion, but then you have that faith factor. Like everything starts with the belief, right? With the faith. Wherever you place that belief, the mindset is going to start, modeling.
Yep.
So yeah, we can go on and on with that
I know
conversation.
that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
a whole other podcast.
It really is.
But yeah, we're on the same page when it, in that sense. So awesome, man. So talk to me about like the transition over the different verticals, right? So you've chosen a couple of different vehicles. You've seen a couple of different aspects of what entrepreneurship can be. You put yourself in very powerful rooms. You're traveling all the time. I just saw you over the weekend. Actually, that's how we booked this podcast. We were at a conference in Houston.
Yeah.
And so going from the life of being a blackjack dealer to putting yourself in rooms like this and growing through the transitions, walk me through that process. Some of your biggest wins, some of your worst losses.
So one of my worst losses obviously is when I first started was that $250,000, because that was like everything. Those were some of my darkest moments. I remember sleeping at night or not sleeping at night. Like thinking like, oh my God, this is like the worst thing that happened to me. I actually had a partner we were working together on. He gave up real estate, went back he's still doing the casino today. Yeah. He gave up. It's like, bro, I'm out. Like, this is a scam. Really?
This is a scam.
It's not a scam. In fact, I got an acronym for scam. It's still confused about money.
Still confused.
Still confused about money. That's my favorite acronym for scam.
I like it.
So that's definitely one of my biggest losses. But I've had many losses, throughout my entrepreneurial journey. A lot of the shiny object syndrome stuff and stuff that, if I would have just dove deeper into them, I might have cracked the code and been successful like I was in real estate. Like, for example, I got in e-commerce for a while. I was doing my real estate business, and then I was like, well, man, I'll just try this e-commerce thing. I lost like $120,000 in that little venture. Yeah. Because I know why I lost, because it's not that e-commerce doesn't work. Yeah. It's because I didn't give everything I needed to give to it to make it work the way I made real estate work. Yeah. It was and I was actually like treating it like almost like a casino, going in and putting money in the slot machine and hoping I hit a jackpot while I'm still doing this thing over here. It just doesn't work like that. I'd have to have given that all my time and attention, join masterminds, go to events, hired private mentors. Maybe I could have cracked the code of e-commerce. I still have a bunch of products sitting in my my garage here in Arizona now. that adventure. It's like, what am I gonna do with all this stuff? Probably just throw it away. When one of your listeners, you want to come over and pick it up and sell it for me, feel free.
Opportunity just opened up, guys.
So there was, that happened a few times in my journey. One of the times that it happened was, it was in the crypto space, man. I saw a lot of people making a lot of money in the space. I was like, let's see what this is all about. I want to try it out. When I first got in the space, once again, I lost over 6 figures going into the space. I didn't know anything about the space. I didn't know I was coming in the top of the bull run, buying the top. I didn't know how it worked. So I was frustrated so much that I was like, I need to figure this out. Why is it not working, but it's working for all these guys? Okay, I joined crypto masterminds. I hired a private mentor, and I started going to events. I started treating it the same way I was treating my real estate journey.
Let me ask you this about commitment. I mean, obviously, when you jumped into commitment into real estate, your commitment was there. I'm assuming your life situation. I mean, you needed to change. I don't know what triggered it. There's always something that triggers our behavior, right? What was the difference between the commitment you gave to the crypto space versus the commitment you gave to the Shopify
like
space?
E-commerce.
The e-commerce.
E-commerce there was no fire for it. It was just now another vehicle to go try to make money with. Kind of like real estate also all it was for me. It was just a vehicle to make money with. I love real estate in the aspect because it saved my life. But at the end of the movie, there's nothing really I really love about real estate. It's just a vehicle. Yeah. But when I started getting into the crypto space, something else turned on for me. There was another flip of the switch. Like there was something there. There was a fire inside me with this space. And I was very determined to figure out why that fire was there and why that passion was there. And so I went down the rabbit hole. Yeah. I went down the rabbit hole, and I'm so glad I did. I am so blessed that I did. Because I found my true purpose in life. And I know it sounds crazy, coming from like real estate to over here, but it was the intuition of God guiding me, and that was that fire that I was feeling in my belly every day when I was exploring this space. And so I went deep. In fact, I went so deep. That is why I moved to Puerto Rico, because anybody in crypto lives in Puerto Rico. Just how in real estate, you want to be around the guys who do bigger deals, right? Who do more deals, who have different strategies, right? We want to be around those guys because we want to learn and level up. It's no different in crypto, but all those guys are in Puerto Rico. So like, for example, I was over on Thanksgiving, I was over at my buddy's house where I came back for Christmas. I was over at my buddy's house. The guy's worth over $200 million because he was early on Ethereum, right? And he's got other plays he's doing. I would never be rubbing elbows with somebody like that in Arizona. Yeah. Now in real estate, I can find those guys in real estate here, but I can't find the crypto guys here. And so that was another reason why I moved to Puerto Rico, is because I would be surrounded.
Proximity is power.
Proximity is power.
Proximity is power.
That's it. I want to be in the rooms with the people who are doing more and bigger deals than me, and I want to know what their next move is. Yeah. It's no different. And no matter what asset class you're in, and crypto is an asset class. Now, most people treat it like a casino. But if you start studying it and learning it and cracking the code and figuring it out how it works, you'll learn about the market cycles. You'll learn how to make passive income. I mean, I have a portfolio. I'm not a trader. We don't trade the markets. We treat our crypto like real estate. Yeah. We buy, we hold, and we make passive income, just like you do in real estate. It's no different. You just got to know how to do it. There's a learning curve to it, but I mean, it's one of the best decisions I ever made, because now I'm empowering not only obviously me in my life, but we also teach it to entrepreneurs and real estate investors, how to build, passive income portfolios and have just a little bit of diversification, just a little bit. They don't have to go all in like we did. I'm all in. I even sold some rentals off and I put it in because I saw the opportunity we're at in crypto. Right now we're in the bottom of the cycle and we're getting ready to push back up again, and it's going to start pushing back up again in April. But how I know that is because we have what's called the Bitcoin halving coming. The Bitcoin halving is where the inflation of Bitcoin gets cut in half, and there's a supply shock. BlackRock is buying right now. Fidelity's buying right now. They're getting ready for this, and it's going to happen in April, and that's when the bull market starts. And so I saw the opportunity, so that's when I started. I sold off my rentals, and I just kept shoveling cash into the space, and then I was building the portfolio, and I started making so much in passive income in the end of 2022 that it paled in comparison to what I was making on my real estate company.
On the passive side?
On the passive side. That's why I shut the real estate company down. I was like, well, I need to focus all my time and energy in this space because I could 10x this, what I'm doing here. Like I did the real estate stuff. And we're not giving up real estate. So a lot of people get this misconception, oh, you're all in crypto. What the heck's going on? We're going to use cryptocurrency as a wealth creation tool, and we're going to use real estate as a wealth preservation tool. So we're going to create passive income portfolios in crypto now when we're at the bottom of the bear. And then when we start exiting on the top of the bull, which will be somewhere in 2025, we're gonna put the money out. You're not gonna go to the banks.
Dump it into real estate.
You put it in real estate. And so what's really remarkable is we built a community of, we have 137 right now. We're still growing. That's why you see us at these events. That's why we're doing all these podcasts where we're talking to people. We're trying to show them the opportunities now to get a little piece in if they want, whatever they're comfortable with. But we have all these real estate operators. We have apartment syndicators. We're part of the Legacy Wealth family, the Legacy Wealth Mastermind.
Yeah.
We have all those guys in. Like we were building a community where when it comes time, we could just park it in their deals. They have deals all day. In fact, we have on Telegram, that's our messaging app where we're all in there all day. We have a little subsection called real estate, and they're in there doing deals every day.
Yeah.
Doing deals all day long. There's apartment guys in there. There's mobile home park guys in there. We have Robert Allen.
Yeah.
Robert G. Allen, the guy from the No Money Down from the 1980s.
One of the goats.
One of the goats.
Man, he's seen the highs, the lows, the real highs.
Yeah, he's been through it all.
He's been through it all.
And now he's in crypto with us. We're teaching him crypto. He has a cash flow and portfolio. He loves to be diversified. That's like his shtick. He wrote a book called Multiple Streams of Income.
Multiple streams of income, yeah.
And that was the whole stick of that book. So he's talking about doing multiple streams of income part 2, and he's going to add in, it'll be a chapter of our strategy of what we're doing in this space.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, it's incredible, man. Like I don't understand anything when it comes to crypto. Like I just
Everyone
haven't.
starts somewhere,
I
though.
haven't tapped into it. I'm not. I've always been a brick and mortar, type of guy. Like I want to touch the investment.
I used to too.
I'm old school like that. Yeah.
Me too.
So I mean, I used to do some day trading and mess around with stocks. Did a little bit of cash. It was too time consuming. Again, I just didn't know what I didn't know. You know what I mean?
Want me to give you a couple of fun statistics?
Yeah.
In 2020 and 21, there was 2 years. There was more millionaires and billionaires born out of cryptocurrency during those 2 years than any other asset class in the world, including real estate and business ownership. 88,000 millionaires and billionaires were born out of those 2 years.
Wow.
That was the top of the market cycle.
Yep.
We're going back into that again. Another fun statistic. Cryptocurrency is the highest appreciating asset known to mankind.
Yeah.
Known to mankind. Had you put $1 into Bitcoin, I understand that we didn't know about Bitcoin back then, but 2009, when it came out, if you'd have put $1 in and you'd have sold the last market cycle top, you would have made $6.5 million. Bitcoin did a 6.5 million X from bottom to top. It's hard to even wrap your mind around that, right? You can't even comprehend the amount of gains you can get out of cryptocurrency.
I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine in 2012, I think it was. And we were sitting down and he's telling me, dude, this thing, like, it's like we're moving into like, I don't know, like they're like, it's all digital, like money, like what do you mean, like monopoly money? Like no, it's all digital. Like they're making like digital coins and like, I don't know how it works, but this thing called Bitcoin and you can get like, you can buy a Bitcoin for, I think it was like $900 or something like at that point, because it spiked and between that and $1,200 or something like that. It was like, it wasn't around 1,000. Yeah. I remember that combo. I was like, dude, that's so stupid. Like,
right. I did too.
And he goes, I'm gonna buy 5,000. I'm gonna buy 5 Bitcoins. Like, so stupid. I mean, do whatever you want.
Throw your money away.
Yeah, and I was looking. So this is when I started looking at real estate, because I wanted to fix and flip. I wanted to put my money somewhere, right? So I had some cash, and then I think about first property I bought it for $72,000, real bad part of town. And
here in Phoenix.
Yeah. So when I was, and that's when the houses were like super cheap, right?
Yep.
So when I was after the rehab and everything, $72K, I sold it for like $79,000. I made $2,000, right? But I paid all cash. I didn't leverage. I didn't use our money. I didn't do any of that stuff. Like, dude, if I had taken that money, the $75K in 2012, and dumped it into, like, I think about that shit all the time. It's like, fuck, man, you just don't know what you don't know.
That opportunity is still here. You just have to do your due diligence and find brand new layer 1 blockchains emerging in the bear market.
Yeah.
Ethereum was another good example. Solana's another good example. Avalanche is a good example. Phantom, I got a list. That every bear market, new ones emerge, and then on average they do a 500x on the first market cycle.
Yeah.
A 500x, meaning if you put $1,000.
And a cycle is what, a year long?
4 years.
4 years.
Cryptocurrency works in 4-year cycles.
Okay.
But like from here, you about a year. Yeah. We're ending the bear around April-ish, and then it's gonna be the bull. The bull will last for a year to year and a half. So from this standpoint, yeah, about a year and a half. But like 500x, that means if you put $1,000 into one of these layer 1 blockchains when they're first emerging, you have $500,000 if you exit out on the bull run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the power of crypto. And if you wait for a second market cycle, you might be able to exit with a lot more. I mean, that's what a lot of the Ethereum guys did, because Ethereum's on its 3rd cycle. And so it's just about doing your due diligence, finding out how to do your due diligence. That's the hard part, because people don't know how to go out there and research and do deals. It's the same way when you first got into real estate. You got to learn how to comp. You got to learn how to find these off-market deals. There's all these strategies. It's the same thing. There's no different. You need people to help you, hold your hand, and show you how to do this. But the getting is it's worth it, right? It's worth the time. Trust me, it's so worth the time. It's not even funny. I love it. Because cryptocurrency is the future. It's the future money. It's wild to think that everything in our lives has gone digital. We're right here on this podcast, fully digital. It's going to go digitally uploaded to all kinds of different platforms. And everything we do in our life is digital. We run our real estate businesses virtually.
Yeah.
Because we're digital.
Most of my team is virtual.
Is digital. So it's wild to think that everything in our life is digital, but money isn't. And it's wild to think that you don't think money's going to become digital. It is. Yeah. In fact, there's going to be a point in time I don't know if it's going to be in our lives, but it could be in my daughter's life or your kid's life. But there will be a point in time where there's going to be something called CBDC, central bank digital currencies. The government's already created it. It's just a matter of getting it rolled out. The fiat dollar, the actual paper dollar we know, will be gone, and will be on the government's central bank digital currencies. So this will probably happen when the dollar collapses. I know I'm putting a little bit of the tinfoil hat on here, but go research it. Go research CBDCs and research FedNow. FedNow is the CBDC that got approved by the United States last year. It was last year in April, I do believe. And so there will be a day when we're completely on CBDCs. The problem with this is now they control your money. They control where you spend your money, how you spend your money, how much you spend your money. If you did something bad that they don't like, they can control, what you do. You can control what you eat. Like maybe there's a meat problem in the United States, and they can cut down like how much money you spend on meat. There's so many different things that they could do. They're already starting to implement this in China. Now, China's a socialism type country, so that makes more sense. But that's what you could do. When you control the money, you control the population. That's just it's easy. And it's just only a matter of time before the paper dollar is gone and they implement this, because they're also scared. They see what's coming. They see what's called decentralization of money. Decentralization is true cryptocurrency, and that's where you have self-sovereignty. That's where you're your own bank. That's where you have censorship-resistant transactions, and you have permissionless money. Listen to how that sounds. Permissionless money. Everything you do in your life requires permission. If you go use your credit card tonight to go buy dinner, that's a permission from your credit card company. You go down to the ATM and pull out money, you need permission from the bank to access the money. My brother, just the other day when we were in Puerto Rico, a few weeks ago actually, he sent me $18,000 at like 2 a.m, like on a Sunday, because I was spinning up some miners for him. And it was permissionless. There's no middlemen. Yeah. There's no middlemen whatsoever. It's just you and the code, you and the blockchain. It makes you transparent. It makes you honest is another thing. And so this is what true DeFi is it gives you your freedom back in money. And that's why we love the ethos of crypto, besides just getting rich. And this is where the purpose is coming in now. I'm starting to talk about ideologies that gives me the purpose why I love the space so much.
So let me ask you, what about regulation? Like, how can they regulate, I don't know, like somebody puts investments into crypto, right? And then they go in, how can the government or regulation come in and stop it or
Well, it's already happening, right, on surface layers. So right now, the Bitcoin ETF just got approved 2 weeks ago. And just for simplicity, all that means is now, like, Fidelity can go sell exposure to, you know, a 401k provider Bitcoin, right? And that's all it means, is that you TradFi, traditional finance, can now get involved and it can be traded on Wall Street. And so
that's a big step, man.
It's a big step, but it's against the ethos of Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto was the creator of Bitcoin. He created Bitcoin to get away from centralization. He created Bitcoin to get rid of middlemen. He created Bitcoin to get us off the fiat Ponzi system, get us away from big banks, the corporate type structure that we see that's collapsing America. Don't want to get too deep in that part, but there's a lot to it. And he created money like that to get away from that, but the people, humans, are messing it up. They're messing it up. So Bitcoin now, unfortunately, is a victim of human and centralization and the bad acting that we do and control, and the governments are getting their hands all around Bitcoin. So we just got to be careful. So that's good for price appreciation. It will do phenomenal for that. But it's bad for the long-term vision and the ethos of crypto. And that's why we look for other DeFi.
You're talking about the impact on decentralization.
Yes. Yeah, the real purpose that makes me eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, that has so much passion about it. People get into this because they want to make money. I get it. But when you start peeling the onion back, the layers back, there's so much more. It's about freedom and self-sovereignty. It's about getting my human rights back. And that's what cryptocurrency has taught me and afforded me. And this is what we're trying to preach to the message to all my real estate friends and entrepreneur friends, and show them how to basically free themselves from the fiat Ponzi system.
Yeah. No, man, it's I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, right? But it's a very real thing. I mean, we're dealing with a whole new when it comes to the evolution of society, man, the last 5 years have been like dog years. It's like we're just moving so fast when it comes to technology, when it comes to AI, when it comes to the financial space as well. I mean, Bitcoin was kind of making its way up, and got more, little by little, right? It had that kind of controlled growth per se over the last, call it 15 years. And but then you see the rest of it just kind of slamming the market in recent years. You're talking 5 years. So there's a lot of change happening, and it's the reality of it is that we have to tap into it, and one way or another. We have to understand at least what's going on around us, because it is going to impact, inevitably it's going to impact the way we live. It's going to impact the way we buy. It's going to impact the way that we just keep the quality of life that we want to keep, that we want to sustain, right?
And that's why it's so important for you, and not only for you, and it's for your families, your generations beyond you, to learn DeFi. Because that's the only place you're going to have your freedom at. You're going to have the CBDCs, the centralized world on their blockchain. When you're going to have a piece of that, because you got to go grocery shopping. You got to get gas in your car. You got to go do these things in the real world that the government will control. But then you want financial freedom, it will be in DeFi, where there's no rules. Now, where there's no rules, there's also scammers and Ponzi's, and so you got to be really careful. You have to learn how to navigate the space. It's very important, but once you learn to navigate the space, you can create legacy wealth out of the space. You can create passive income, which we all love as real estate investors. We love passive income. That's the whole point. It's the whole point. In real estate, it's the passive income ideology is kind of a lie unless you're doing notes or you're the money in deals. There's where your real passive income. But crypto, literally your computer does all the work. It does all the work. So like you as a human, it's truly passive for you. And that's what's really remarkable. But you will want to learn at least a small piece of this eventually, so that way you can have that freedom in DeFi attached away from CBDCs. It's just a matter of time.
I love it, man. It's very, very interesting stuff. We've covered a lot of a lot of your trajectory. You're very dynamic in terms of everything that you do, right? So I'm excited to see what's what's kind of next in store. I feel like you're gonna dive into the crypto space, which you have already, and then just make some waves on that as well. Dude, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, maybe pick your brain a little bit more on the stuff that you guys do. I mean, I know you do a lot of helping out other people as well. You guys have do you guys have a training or anything like that?
Yeah, we have a basic one to just kind of see if you want to get your feet wet,
Yeah.
right? Like we tell people, come in, get your feet wet. It's a very low cost barrier of entry. It's a 4-week training that we do. It's called the Accelerator. And you can just go to cryptocashflowsystems.com. That's it.
Cryptocashflowsystems.com.
Cryptocashflowsystems.com. Go there. We just made that URL today for the Accelerator, and I'll double check and let you know for your listeners. Otherwise, your listeners also go just DM me. That's probably the easiest way. You could DM me on Facebook. I don't have a VA who answers my DMs, it's just me. So DM me on Facebook, it's just Cory Geary, or you go on Instagram, it's the Cory Geary. And you can just DM me, and I'll be the one answering it, and I can guide you to the right place if you want to know more. But the Accelerator we do it once a month. And it's a 4-week. We just take you through. You get a course. Most people don't watch the course, but it's there for your reference. But you get to work with us for a whole month, where we teach you the basics of DeFi, and that way it's not the mastermind, but that's fine because you can learn to see if it's something you want to explore deeper.
Yeah.
100% of the people who have gone through the Accelerator have joined the mastermind because they see the power of crypto, because they start making passive income. They start seeing money coming back into their portfolio, and they're like, oh, whoa. And they kind of see like the ethos of this space, and so it's really remarkable, man. It's I love it.
One of the best things that we can open ourselves up as entrepreneurs is the understanding that we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I'll be first in line when it comes to like putting judgments on certain things. And it's like, no, that's crazy, or that's crazy. I've learned differently over the last several years. Opportunity comes in a very interesting way. I keep going back. I kid you not, man. Like I keep going back to that Bitcoin conversation I had in 2011, 2012. I was like, shit. Dude.
Learn from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn from it. And
so
you don't have to go all in, right? You don't got to change your whole life like we did.
We talk about education all the time. We talk about growth all the time.
Right.
We talk about just having an open perspective, which is an entrepreneur you got to have all the time, right? So it's. There's things that are going to naturally give us pushbacks. For example, me, something that I can't. That's not brick and mortar. Like
it's hard for you to understand.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like wrap my head around it. It's like, how does that? But the reality is. I Yeah.
And once you're immersed in the space, you'll start wrapping your head around it. Yeah. You'll start understanding. Like a lot of people are like, where's a passive income coming from? I don't understand that. And it's easy. I'll give you one quick example before we wrap it up today. Coinbase. Yeah. What's their business model? It's making fees. They offer these crypto assets up. People trade in and out of the assets, and they make all the fees.
Right.
Well, in DeFi, we don't use Coinbase. So where do we get our assets from?
Yeah.
It's peer-to-peer. And so, like, say you hold Ethereum and Hex. Hex is another cryptocurrency that we love. You can put them in what's called a liquidity pool. You come and you're going to swap now maybe dollars or Ethereum for my Hex or whatever, or back and forth. The market's trading back and forth between these. I make all the fees. I become the Coinbase.
I see it.
That's one way. There's other ways too, but that's one where people really can understand and kind of conceptualize how the money's made. And so it's just in fees. The same way businesses are done. And you can do there's other protocols where you get dividends, kind of like if you own Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You get a profit share. It's not a lot with those guys because they're such a big corporation. But in crypto, you can make dividends off fees from other protocols. And that's a whole other show in itself. But we can go into that if you guys are interested. Just hit me up.
Talk about having just open perspectives, right? When it comes to entrepreneurship. Again, I think like wholesale is a gateway drug to a lot of great things.
It is.
It'll definitely put you in a space that you're going to see other stuff. You're going to talk to interesting people and then move from there. If you have the tenacity, if you have the fire in your belly, right? And more than anything, if you're looking for that path, you're always going to find something, a sign, a signal that just kind of tees you up to the right conversations. Because this world is it's a very, very giving world.
It is.
And if we know how to see things. So with that being said, bro, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely,
I'm definitely going to go to that link. I'm going to go check it out because I've been wondering about it for a minute.
Cryptocashflowsystems.com.
I don't want to be kicking my ass again in another 10 years.
Let's do it. We would love to bring you along for the ride, bro. It would be
another 10 years.
A blast.
So with that being said, fam, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I did. Reach out to Cory. What your socials again?
Yeah, Cory Geary, Corey, Geary, Geary. So Facebook, that's just Cory Geary, and then Instagram's the Cory Geary. And you can DM me, and we can have a conversation.
Beautiful. Last question is, if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give that kid?
Man, My biggest, learn to love myself. That's the biggest thing, because when I was 17, I was so confused and I hated myself, and I hated myself because of my childhood, the way it was. And that's a whole nother podcast in itself. But to learn to go at least on the journey of my mindset and the journey spirituality and learning how to love myself. Stuff like diving into Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff. Yeah. Diving into Michael Singer stuff. You know, going on that part of the journey at that age would have changed the trajectory of my life in a much earlier stage, where I didn't become an entrepreneur, man. I was, 39? I'm 47 now, so maybe 38. I think I was 38 when I became an entrepreneur. So I started late, and that's because I didn't love myself. But that's also because that's why I was a drinker. That's why I was a drug addict. That's why I did what I did. And that's why I say real estate saved my life, because it taught me through these, you know, relationships and the mindset and the spirituality, how to love myself. And that's how I was able to quit cold turkey drugs and alcohol. So my 17-year-old self, I was already pretty deep in the weeds with that stuff. That would be the one thing I would have told myself. Yeah. Man,
I love it. Self-love, and
it's hard. You have always to work on that.
Well, yeah, it is, especially when you don't have the awareness that
you don't.
That that's what's happening, right? Yep. Sometimes we don't even see it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, man.
Yeah, man.
Again, pleasure having you on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Family, again, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Stay focused. You got this.
Go, guys.
Bam.